Hey folks, Randy Newberg here. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Leopold's Hunt Talk Radio. Also known as Randy Newberg Unfiltered, but the guys I'm with today are not like the crazies when I had Fred and Kyle last week. So I don't know that we got to go unfiltered. They're smiling at me like, oh yeah, we'll show you. But
we're going to talk about some real quick business here. Hunt Talk Radio is what we call Leupold's Hunt Talk Radio, and the reason is because Leupold is the title sponsor of everything we do. The TV show Fresh Tracks, this Hunt Talk Radio podcast. If I'm out in the woods, you can bet that I'm doing something that has Leupold product, Leupold thought, Leupold engineering involved in it, and can't thank them enough for making this podcast possible. I've been using Leupold rifle scopes since I was a teenager. So that was probably 40 years ago or close to 40 years ago. Just a great company. They're a hunting company first and foremost. They're not a camera company or they're not a crystal company or whatever. They are a hunting company and they know it, they live it, they breathe it. And they love supporting our platform. They love you as the audience. They know that you who follow our platforms, you people that we try to engage with, you are the future of hunting. And they want to be part of it and they want to support anything that's helpful to that cause. So thanks to the good folks at Leupold. Go to leupold.com. You'll find every product they have. Orion coolers. I've quit counting how long I've been on the road this year. And I've been living out of Orion coolers. That's what keeps my food fresh, keeps dead animals from spoiling until we can get them home. And I could list off forever all the great things about Orion coolers. Go to orioncoolers.com and check them out. I can assure you that it is the best cooler you're going to find. It's just the way it is. I don't know how else to say that. So another company is gohunt.com. Go to their insider program. It's gohunt.com/insider. And if you use the promo code RANDY, R-A-N-D-Y, and you sign up for the insider, they're going to give you a $50 Sportsman's Warehouse gift card. So gohunt.com/insider. I guarantee you'll find it worth every penny. Onyx Maps. They've got a bunch of new stuff coming out with their apps, a bunch of layers, new states, new features. Go to onyxmaps.com. And some of you have emailed me, like I got an email the other day, Randy, you don't have to give away this much information on a podcast. People can figure it out themselves. It's like, well, yeah, I know that, but part of our job is to help lower the hurdles. And so Onyx Maps really lowers that hurdle. I've got three guys with me who, those of you who follow our YouTube channel, probably wonder where I got the crazy idea. And if Randy's platforms crash and burn, you can blame it on these three guys. And they're the guys, and if you go to my channel, you'll see that I subscribe to their channel called HUSHIN, right? Is that what you guys call the channel?
HUSHIN.
And we got Casey, Eric, and Brian from HUSHIN. And how long have you guys been doing this?
I started this channel probably 6 years ago.
2011.
Yeah. Some crazy idea. I have another YouTube channel that I do full time, a vlog channel with my family, and I started this hunting channel because I always wanted to do something in the industry.
Yeah.
And so I started this vlog channel where I was actually videotaping me and my family's daily life, and I was like, this is a perfect chance to like have a hunting show, right? So anyways, I started that 6 years ago, and it was really part time. Did it when I could. And then I brought Eric and Brian on, 2 years ago?
About 2 years.
Mm-hmm. And just has really taken off in the last 2 years. So
yeah. So people, if you don't right now, go and subscribe to the HUSHIN channel. And you guys came to Bozeman, when was it? July of 2015.
Yep. It's been a while.
And it's funny how we got connected is Brian was hanging out on the Hunt Talk forum and you won the trip down here to SHOT Show to the...
It was a grand finale prize out of all people that I went to go vote for Randy's channel, which I think at the time was On Your Own Adventures, I believe.
It was the last year we did On Your Own.
And if you went and voted for his channel on Facebook or whatever it was for like best host, somehow I won the grand prize from Sportsman's Channel, which is a trip to SHOT Show, $500 cash, and I was able to attend the Sportsman's Choice Awards.
Right. And so we hung out there.
We did.
And I was the designated driver. And you and Mark and everybody else had too much fun.
Yeah. I brought my buddy Cody Lujan, who has he's who I met Casey with. So there's a cool connection there. And then, we hung out with Randy and the guys from RMEF, Ranella and his crew. And we just sat back in the room and had a really good time. And it was, I think it was shocking because if you realize how many whitetail kind of fanatic hunters there are at SHOT Show, for a Western hunter that's voting for Randy Newberg to win the grand prize was kind of an anomaly.
And so you knew Casey and Eric, and that's how. Well, Casey, didn't you post some videos out on Hunt Talk? Some of your hunting videos at one time?
Yeah, Brian turned me on to that. Yeah, like Brian was saying, the internet, man, it's a crazy place, it really is. But I had met a guy named Cody Lujan, who's a mutual friend of all of ours, through one of the forums. I drew a tag in New Mexico, and his name kept popping up, and I bugged him long enough that he finally gave me some information. Told me it was literally like, it was a hard sell for sure. And finally he agreed to take me down there and show me what he knew early in the season. And then, so he helped me hunt. I had an archery elk tag down there, and he told me, he's like, yeah, my buddies have the rifle tag. You should come back and film it. And this is like the second year I started Hush, and it was actually Brian and his dad Terry had the rifle tag. So I went back down there, filmed their hunts. It was amazing, and got to know Brian. And Brian had actually got to know Cody the same exact way the year before. He drew the same tag, did research on one of the forums, and Cody's name kept popping up.
You know how those forums are? They're like an internet dating site for hunters.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of.
My wife was like, so let me get this straight. You're going to fly to New Mexico, and you're going to go spend the night in the woods with somebody you've never met. Walk me through how that makes sense.
Off the internet.
Yeah,
Off the internet.
But it's not a woman, so.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I was safe there. I was like, I scouted him out, babe, on Facebook. He looks normal.
Yeah, my wife did the same thing. Like when Cody picked me up from the airport out of Albuquerque, we started headed south. Like 45 minutes into the drive, we both got phone calls, and we're like, hey, babe, yeah, I made it. He's here. He's not, I don't think he's a murderer. I think we're good there. So,
and then Eric, you went to work.
I met Casey at the Hunt Expo in Salt Lake, and we tried to figure it out. It's like, what, 5 years ago now?
I think it was, no, it was probably the year I started the channel, 5 or 6 years ago, but it actually came through the internet. Eric used to run a company on the internet, and I would always watch them and be like, man, those guys are young kids doing something cool in this industry I want to do. And then I started doing YouTube. So I reached out to him. Eric always saw the internet as being, the platform they wanted to do. And so I just introduced myself to him at the expo in Salt Lake and took off, and he left the other company, and I brought him on. And so, thanks, internet.
Yeah, the internet, we're all connected somehow.
So that's how I ended up meeting these three guys, and how they came to Bozeman, came up to the Randy room there, my small little galactic headquarters, and they're looking at me like, hey, come on, Randy, just go do it. Jump in the deep end here. And I'm like, I'm old. These guys are not old and gray like I am. They're like young, energetic people. So
super handsome.
If there was any video to this, they'd be like, "Oh, Grandpa Randy is there talking to his grandkids." But so that was the moment where, you guys knew I was very frustrated with the path and pattern of how outdoor TV is. You guys knew my message was a little bit, maybe didn't fit that well with what gets a lot of airtime on outdoor TV. I'm trying to walk a tight line there. Don't want to get kicked off the
Unfiltered, man. Unfiltered.
So after that brainstorming session, I was convinced. You guys And when you told me the story, Casey, about how your family had been in this and you had your own video blogging channel outside of the hunting world, and you know, Eric jumped in my computer chair there and he's looking at this trashed out kind of trailer trash version of a YouTube channel I'd put together. And within like 10 minutes, he had me kind of, it's like my car had been painted at Mako, and then Eric got a hold of it. And now it's like it came out of the custom Trick Your Truck shop.
Yeah.
Man. I was like, hey, well, maybe it will work if you would do it right, Randy, if, you know, have someone like Eric. So after that, I said, you know what? I'm still going to do TV, but my focus is, because I already had the big Hunt Talk platform.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, you know, I'm going digital.
Yeah.
And here we are a year and a half later. And earlier in the show where I was visiting with these guys, and they think I'm probably just kissing up to them. But no, if it wasn't for them taking that trip to Bozeman, Montana, Randy Newberg would not have a YouTube channel.
Oh, how sad. It'd be so sad without it.
It's sad it took a group of guys like us. No, but honestly, like, I love hearing that. And I told you earlier today, like, we're open books for what we do. We have no competition. We don't feel like we have competition. I think anybody that would really like, that wants to do this and is passionate about it, there's a few things, you know, and we were talking about this earlier, but dude, I love seeing the success you've had already on YouTube, because all the things I've been preaching for the last 5-6 years, it's true, because you proved it's true. Like, you want to do it, make good content, be consistent, and don't ever give up.
Right.
It will work. The only time it won't work is when you give up.
Right. And I remember when you said that, Casey, and like everything in life, there's days you want to give up. Because I'm trying to do a TV show. I'm trying to do this. I just started the podcast. I was like, really? Maybe I should add 5 or 6 more things to this.
Yeah.
But fortunately, I'm way below average at everything, but giving up isn't something I'm good at. And so it's just been huge fun to watch it. And, you know, I shoot you guys texts and emails at times asking questions. And I'm sure you're like, oh man, well, this guy, he is so clueless, but you're so patient and tolerant. And Brian, you get to be the brunt of most of my phone calls.
But it's okay. I enjoy it. And I think to hit on why it's working, Randy, is because you know, we talk about this a lot, but what's your why behind what you're doing?
Yeah.
If you're doing it, and we've discussed this before, but if you're doing it for reasons of financial gain or fame or whatever you want to call it, it probably isn't going to be as good of a transition for you. Mm-hmm. But I mean, you have a really strong why. Yeah. And the story that you shared with us about you and Matthew when you weren't doing very well health-wise on your couch, and you decided, you know what, let's make better quality content than what's out there now. Yeah. To me, that's the ticket to success right now. And you know, for the same reasons is why your YouTube channel is doing well. Like, you don't have an ulterior motive. Like, you're really passionate about your main reason of why, which relates a lot to family, I think. And then also, you know, you have such a strong message of public land advocacy, and those are the driving forces behind your message, which is so different than many of the people we are walking around this expo with today.
What did we talk about earlier? I get a kick out of this industry. It's a great industry. Like, there's some really good companies and people in this industry, without a doubt. And it's the industry that we're all passionate about. But the companies and the people I see that, like Brian said, that the dollar bill is that bottom line, just don't get it. Right. And like he was saying, like, your message, your why is a lot like our why. Like, we just want to share content with people all over the world about things that they can actually go and do. Yeah. Right? They can go out and enjoy our public lands and provide food and all that stuff. And that's it for us. Like, dude, if we never made $1 at doing this, it'd be tougher, without a doubt. Oh, yeah. I'm sure we'd still be doing it at some level still. And you're right. You're obviously the same guy.
Yeah. Well, and that's just, I think all of us feel kind of fortunate to be in the situations we're in. And I feel really fortunate to be in the situation I'm in. But I just watched some of the content you guys produce, and I'm like, is there anything you wouldn't eat, Eric?
Not if it's got seasoning on it.
I watch your cooking videos or your food videos, and I'm like, he's gonna eat that. He's really gonna eat that.
What? Like what? What are some of the?
It's some of the combinations of stuff you throw together. I'm like that's
I'm
like
so
peanut butter
simple.
pickles or something there.
Yeah, I'm
It's
pretty basic
it's
when I cook
protein
stuff.
and
Protein,
no carbs.
veggies.
So whatever like falls under that. Protein, no carbs.
Guacamole and cilantro on everything. But yeah, I keep it simple.
Yeah,
But people are impressed though. It's weird.
they are. I'd read
That looks so good. I'm like, I mean, it is good, but it's not like, I think what Brian's wife cooks is like legit, gourmet, fancy, nice.
More appetizing to the eye.
Mine just, I just eat what I know is healthy for
Eric's
me.
is just fuel. That's all
Yeah.
it is. It's just fuel.
Really?
I do enjoy it though, especially
Yeah.
when it's obviously I eat a lot of the game that I harvest.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, and when I see your videos about that stuff, they're really simple. And I think if there's one thing people like myself making the migration from TV to YouTube, we are like overcomplicating this thing. We are like
Overthinking everything.
We are so messed up in our concept of what people want to consume for media and how they want to consume it. And that's why your food videos stick with me. As when I see one, I start thinking like, oh, Randy, why did you interject 6 topics in a 5-minute YouTube video?
Yeah.
Why didn't you do 6 short YouTube videos?
I tell everybody that we talk with that has questions about YouTube and digital, just unthink everything you've been taught or know and start fresh, because it's such a different market. Like, people on YouTube want something that's raw and authentic and unique. Like, they don't want it super scripted or whatnot. And that can be really hard when you're making a transition from something that you're accustomed to storyboarding and tripods and scripts.
Yeah,
It's very different.
List.
I would go a step further and say it's not just people on YouTube. It's everybody that wants that. It's just having a TV show. There's so many hoops you have to jump through. They wouldn't allow you to do the things that you can do on YouTube. You can do whatever you want.
Right.
And so it's, we started vlogging, which is holding a camera up to your face basically and, talking to it. And it's like, this is like the most dumb, that's a phrase we'd always use, is dumb it down, right? It's the most dumb content in your head, but people feel like they're there with you, right? Like they're hanging out with Randy or Eric cooking a backstrap up. And so I feel like everybody wants to consume that content because it's engaging. It makes them feel like they're there, but sometimes like TV won't allow you to do that.
It's really interesting because we're not going to probably win any awards for like cinematography.
Oh, maybe like best vlog footage. Best
In the
vlog footage.
in that category.
It'll be a category at some
Best
point.
vlog footage with dust on the lens.
What are
Like,
they going to call it? The golden what? The golden...
the golden, you have terrible audio when the wind's blowing.
So the award will be like the golden keyboard, or
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It's not that pretty, but I tell you what, people really enjoy it because, like Casey said, they feel like they're with you.
Yeah.
It's a unique perspective, and it touches a wide audience. I mean, we have feedback from young kids in that, kind of tween age, all the way up to like grandparents who have like somehow stumbled upon our channel, and they're in their 70s or something, and they love what they're doing. It's really unique.
Huh.
Yeah, I got stopped in the hall downstairs just an hour ago or so. A group of guys from California recognized me from the channel, and they're just like, man, it's so weird. Like, I feel like I know you so well. I just want to come up and like put you in a headlock, and they feel like they're my friends.
And if you saw Eric, you would think twice about putting Eric
No,
in a
like
headlock.
they feel like they just want to come and punk you like a real friend would, because he's like, dude, I really feel like I know you, and I never thought I would want to follow someone, and it just goes and like hangs out with his friends and like goes to the archery range and shoots his bow. But he's like, those are some of my favorite videos, is just you guys hanging out.
Yeah.
And that's what that vlog part is, that personal touch of just being so hanging out.
Is that the same approach you used on your other channel, Casey?
Yeah, that's all we do on the other channel is super. Sometimes my kids are like, Dad, I want to vlog today. And it's like my 8-year-old son. So he'll go into the room with his with the camera, and he'll vlog himself playing with the G.I. Joe with one hand. And at first I was like, oh, this needs to be better, you know? Then finally, like, I'm just gonna put this up. People love that content, you know? Like, they knew what it was like being a kid. They have a kid that does that or whatever. And the vlogging thing has been huge for us. Yeah. We started a series that we do whenever we can called the Semi-Live Hunt, right?
Right, yeah.
Which is basically like we go out and we hunt for maybe a 5-day hunt. And so we record the first day video, whatever happened that day, and we upload it the next day at 5 o'clock, and we do that for 5 days. So everyone, the audience is a day behind, but they feel like they're there with us. And what it's created was all this excitement because they want to see what happened.
Right.
So the next day they're like, so what happened? Did you find that buck again? Or did you do this or whatever, you know? And it's been huge for us, but it goes back to making the audience feel like they're there with us. Yeah. And that's huge.
We went to Arizona last week hunting coos deer. Brought 2 camera guys, brought all of our editing stuff, purposely stayed in a motel for 2 reasons, because everyone told me the illegal drug runners would overtake my camp where we were camped. Never saw one, so I didn't have to stay there. But the other reason was we were going to do this semi-live hunt thing. How do you guys find time to do it?
Late nights, man. Yeah. Late nights.
I just could not ask my camera guys to stay up that late and do that stuff after we get in at like 8 o'clock at night. Yeah. We go eat, and I'm like, no, I just can't do it.
Yeah. After a long day of hunting, you know, usually the day ends and you're like, I can relax, maybe charge the cameras. But we get back and it's like, okay, I need your SD card out of your vlog camera, out of your phone scope, out of everything. And it's like, even just getting the footage is like an hour of just file swapping.
Yeah.
And then it's just
timeline.
Cut.
Oh, gosh.
Well, that's another thing we can talk about, Randy, is you need to learn how to edit.
I've worked on it. So there's a muskrat trapping video out on my YouTube channel that I did start to finish. And every once in a while I edit something because I want to remember, one, how bad I am at it.
Yeah.
And how much work it is.
Yeah.
And every once in a while I grab the camera and try to film because I want to remember how bad I was at it when my son and I started this enterprise and why I don't want their job. So that if something goes snare wire, I'm like, you know, that's a tough job. I'm going to cut some slack here.
But I think it goes back to what we were talking about earlier is you have to dumb it down, right?
Yeah.
So when we cut those videos for the Semi-Life series, it's really just a lot of raw footage. It's not more than us just going through the footage and cutting out. You know, a lot of times we cut to audio, right? We're not watching what's happening in the video, but we cut to audio because whatever we say, that's what's going to go in. Because it's super raw. And so it doesn't take us as long to do a video like that compared to like a video that's going to have some montagey stuff, some music and stuff. But we just cut, it's very raw. And that's, I think, why it's done so well. Not only is it raw for the way we're filming it, but it's raw for the way that we're editing it.
Yeah.
And that's what people like really like buy into.
Yeah, it's common to read comments where we do add some music and people go, music ruined this one.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, really?
Like 30 seconds of music and it's like, oh, the music ruined that, you know, because
you should have left it raw.
Yeah, they're picturing themselves sitting out on a rock glassing through mule deer, and there was no montagey music when they were doing that.
Right. Oh, yeah.
It was the wind blowing or whatever. So,
it's crazy how it has happened too, because initially, like, the stereotype is, well, you probably shouldn't put videos up on YouTube more than, let's say, 5 minutes.
Right.
Which is then transitioned into 12 minutes. Which is then we just experimented with some stuff in our last hunt that we just got back from in Texas, where we put a 39-minute video up, and we had multiple videos over 30 minutes in the Semi-Life series. Yeah. And the feedback was, man, that was the fastest 39 minutes I've ever been through, like on watching something like this. Yeah. And I'd be happy with more time.
Some people wanted more.
That's interesting you say that, because I was worried when we threw all of our old episodes up there that everyone told me, oh, people are going to just be watching this on their cell phone and they're only going to watch it for the first 30 seconds and blah, blah, blah. Kind of what maybe led to your impression or doubts of would people watch that long of content. And even though I have lots and lots of videos that are 2 to 4 minutes, still my average view length is almost 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And so when people tell me, oh, this is just a bunch of grade school kids watching on their little cricket phone, not my analytics, it isn't.
Nope.
And so when I go to the ad agencies, I show them my analytics, and my 82% of my viewers are that prime male demographic from 25 to 64.
Yeah.
That's as good of a demographic as you're going to get on any other platform. And all this, oh, well, they're only going to watch for 10 seconds. Maybe other channels that is, but we're at almost 10 minutes. So I go through all these analytics, and it debunked every concern I had. When you guys looked at that whiteboard at my house when you showed up, every one of those are crossed off, and I'm on it just right next to them. Dumbass, Randy. Dumbass. But,
Dude, that just like opened my eyes to something I'm thinking about now. So that demographic, or the analytics on Google is insane, right? Like
Right.
It shows you exactly who's watching, where they're watching, how long they're watching.
what device they're watching
What device.
from.
So you go back to TV, right?
Right.
So there's a guy that comes home from work, like we were talking about, eats dinner, grabs a beer or whatever, sits on the couch, starts watching the Sportsman's channel. Dude, he falls asleep at 7:30, right? If you think about this was just like went through my head. I have never once fallen asleep watching a YouTube video because I'm
Right.
usually sitting up to the desk.
Right.
But when I'm watching TV, I fall asleep. If I'm
Yeah.
watching a movie with the kids, I fall asleep. Like,
Yeah.
that's another, like, analytic Google needs to add to that. Seriously. Like, Eric, have you ever fallen asleep watching a YouTube video?
On your phone?
Or, on your phone?
Never.
Like,
That's the beauty of YouTube too. I mean, we get to people any place, anytime, anywhere. It doesn't matter, and we can do it fast.
Yeah. And,
And that's like, if you look at like the trends of consumption of media,
right.
people want stuff now, and I don't really care what age you are. You look at it, go like Casey always says this: go to an airport. They have the TVs playing when you're waiting for your flight. How many people are watching that monitor? Nobody.
None other than Saturday night or Sunday night when I flew down here, the Packers and Cowboys were playing.
Yeah.
Those are the anomalies, right?
people that
that's
didn't
the
have the
anomaly.
free NFL app loaded to their phone or watching the TV.
Everybody's on their phone. Even like the grandma and grandpas are watching their freaking cell phone.
Even when people watch TV, they've got their phone in their hand. The TV's just playing.
That's
usually.
it. You say that, Eric. That is so true. I looked now. I'm like this. I'm just trying to soak it all in. So I'm watching people when they're doing this stuff. Very seldom do I see people watching TV that they don't have their phone in their hand. It's like there is something about that phone that is like crack.
It is. It is
like
crazy.
and
that's what's so different, I think, too. I don't know if we talked about this, because I talked about this with somebody earlier, was when people watch, we did talk about it, they're being force-fed, but when they're actively watching your YouTube channel, they have chosen to go and do that.
Right.
It's not just something that's being force-fed.
Right,
They have chosen to click a button to go and watch Randy, go subscribe to Randy, or go and comment on one of Randy's videos. Right?
Yeah. That's an
huge.
affirmative statement that I want this content.
Yeah.
Nielsen's, I get fuzzy numbers in my ratings. So one week they'll say, 500,000 people watched your show this week. And the next week it'll say 90,000 people watched my show. Really?
Can we just go to the unfiltered part? And I'm just going to say,
Yeah.
Nielsen's ratings is bullshit.
No, it is.
It's a guesstimate at best.
You talk to any ad agency that really studies this stuff, they don't even ask me for Nielsen's anymore.
Yeah.
It's such a niche, like, representation of television watching. Like, I think it was designed, I could be wrong, probably 50s, 40s, 60s, somewhere in there, where they were watching network television, trying to get a read on
And
how.
there were 3 networks.
Yeah. I mean, you get into the like specifics of cable television. It's such a tough thing to manage.
Right.
And then I think, Casey, didn't you get like a Nielsen thing
I
in the
sent you
mail?
guys a picture,
Like
right?
an envelope.
I got this letter, which, was trash mail, whatever. But, like, I get mail, like, every 4 days where we live. And so I have always this stack of mail, and I'm always just like, all right, what's a bill? What's a check, And I saw this thing, and it was trash mail, but it said Nielsen's ratings on it. I'm like, whoa, what's this? What do they want? So I opened it up, and it was it $1?
It's $1. They put a dollar bill in there.
Yeah. They give you a legitimate $1 bill to go and answer some survey about what you watch on TV.
Yeah.
And so I sent it to Eric and Brian. I'm like, I think we're doing the right thing, guys. These guys are trying to pay people to figure out like what the hell's going on, but when really they have no idea.
Yeah. One of you guys sent me a link about the future of media consumption habits, and it was about the male-dominated demographic, which the hunting and outdoor world mostly is.
Yeah.
And it talked about how that is changing really rapidly because of the NFL going to streaming.
Yeah.
And that if any activity, any group can change the consumption habits quickly of the male-dominated demographic, it's the NFL. And what they do 2 years ago, they did one game that was streamed. This year they did 5. Next year, who knows how many they're going to do. But
it seems like every year, they raise that up.
Yeah,
and they can be the influencer to change that.
Yeah.
And they
Without
are.
a doubt.
big time. That's what I always look for is what is mainstream media doing? Because if we keep an eye on that, then we can stay ahead of the curve. And I was just watching UFC, for example, last weekend, and they were actively promoting their YouTube channel on UFC.
Wow.
I'm like, see, I was with someone, I was like, do you see that UFC is pushing their YouTube specific episodes?
Yeah.
I'm like, that says a lot to me.
Right. So, Brian, do you have cable or satellite?
We have DirecTV because my wife is obsessed with Bravo television.
Okay.
Don't
Casey, do you
lie.
have anything?
Hold on.
I
Let's
watch
go
it
back.
too, occasionally.
Don't lie. Housewives of Orange County.
That's Bravo, dog.
Brian's favorite show.
Do you have a package?
I honestly have not had TV since we started YouTube. And I don't know if it's like, I love watching football, and my wife loves watching probably Bravo, whatever it is. But we've found a way to do that all on the internet. But what I was going to say is, I don't know if that's like a subconscious thing in my head where I'm like, I'm not buying into TV, because I do this other thing.
Almost
But
a
I haven't,
protest.
like I haven't had TV for 6 years, and I guarantee you we have not missed it. My kids don't miss it. I don't miss it. My wife doesn't miss it. She watches all her channels, that she wants to watch. But no, we don't have it.
Eric?
I have a package, but it was cheaper to get it included.
With your,
Dang.
with your
I needed
internet?
internet.
So
And it was cheaper
disappointed
to
in
get
you two.
internet. But here's the thing. I don't watch it. Very, very random.
Yeah.
I've got a smart TV. I use it to stream Pandora music and YouTube.
Okay.
It's very rare to even turn on cable TV.
Yeah. Huh. Well, I have a package because I want to make sure that when I throw something to the network that all my commercials
have
and
a
everything else are there.
TV
But
show.
my wife and I we're paying that much money? What are we thinking? And my son is 27. When he comes home, he's like, Dad, I thought you were smart, Dad.
Yeah.
I'm with your son. Like, I don't know who these 3 guys I am with. Like, we're talking about YouTube, and they all have TV. Like, what is this?
Oh man, we'll get back to some of this media consumption and
Yeah,
other
we
stuff.
should
But
move on.
I just wanted to give the audience a little background to where that real critical pivot point was when I said, you know what, I'm going digital or I'm going down.
Yeah.
I mean,
Going digital or going down.
I can just tell you, Randy, like, from last year till this year, so 1 year, we all talked about this. Dude, you're in a way happier place. I can tell that.
Oh, I
just
am.
talking to you.
yeah.
The smile, that's what Andy said. Our camera guy's sitting off this side. He's like, Randy has that $1 million smile. I'm like, he does. I'm like, he didn't have that last year.
No,
he was a little stressed out last year.
I was. It felt like this uphill battle of you almost had to prove to everybody that, look, this is going to work. This is where it's at. But yeah, just even a year ago in this industry, the industry isn't necessarily risk takers. And so they're like, well, prove it. So like I was telling you guys before we turned on the mics, I proved it.
Yeah.
And so I get this big deck of analytics that I send to these people and say, well, this is what you wanted last year. Here it is in spades. And so now they're like, oh.
Dang. It worked.
Yeah, I guess we'll sign that contract.
Crap, he called our bluff. Yeah.
You guys, I love watching your hunts because it's just about fun. You guys don't get hung up on where it's at or what it is or how it's done. It's just, there's a purity to it of, this is what hunting should be. TV really we get wrapped around the axles about a lot of things that really don't make a frog's freckle worth of farts. It's like, your deer hunts in Colorado. Was it last year or was it the year before when you guys helped out that kid?
Last year.
That was a year before it.
No, it was last year.
No,
it was
2000.
2015.
2 falls ago.
Yeah, I thought that was like so cool because I love helping other people when I'm hunting. I get way more gratification out of the success of others than I do out of my own.
Yeah.
And so when I saw you guys do that, I'm like, no, that's cool.
That was huge. The comments on that, people were like, dude, I was a fan before. I'm a lifetime fan now, or I'm going to go buy a hat just to help support you guys.
But
now.
I'll tell you what, that was Eric's doing. Like, we were split up that day, and that's Eric's forte. Like, besides the fact of us getting any recognition of that, which is great, but at the same time, like, Eric would do that if there wasn't a camera invented on this earth. Like, right. I think we all would. Like you said, there's so much gratification into helping a youth or somebody new do something or accomplish something they've never accomplished before. That's rad, you know? That's so cool.
It was cool too because we had an opportunity to meet up with a family again this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so Eric was able to keep in touch with them. Went out, did some hunting with them, went hung out with them, and just caught up with them, and it was just a neat situation, And to your point, that is so much more important than trying to shoot a deer, getting wrapped up on what size it is or whatever else.
Getting the kill shot,
really neat experience that I'm glad Eric had an opportunity to be a part of and that he made that decision. That was all on him to say, hey, have you ever shot a deer?
Yeah.
It's a cool story.
It never even crossed my mind when the opportunity came. I didn't think twice about it. Then when so many people contacted me after, that was really cool. I'm like, well, isn't that what everybody would do? That's just how I felt. And a lot of people are like, no, dude, not a lot of people would have done that. They would have just said,
what are you doing in my spot? They're those are whose boot tracks are those? Crap like that means nothing,
Right.
And at the end of the day, that means nothing to us. It's about promoting a positive message and sharing that message with anybody that we can,
Yeah.
And Eric nailed it.
So you guys went to Nevada. Didn't you guys go to Nevada pronghorn hunting? And I never really, I saw a few pictures, but I'm like the pronghorn nut. So if we want to talk about this after
I was texting
camera,
you, Randy.
I know.
Randy,
but then after
the
the few texts, I didn't hear from you. It's like you went to, what is it, Area 51 out there or something in Nevada, and the bad guys got you or something. I'm like the antelope junkie of the world.
Well, that's why we were texting you.
Well, I know, but it's like, and I haven't seen the stuff on your channel. Is it out there?
We haven't. We did a teaser
Andy?
video, and we're going to be putting it up here soon from that hunt.
Oh, so I'm not asleep at this.
No.
All right. Okay.
It was such a fun hunt, though.
To build off your point, we know we've been to Randy's man room. Mm-hmm. He has some absolute fantastic goats in that room. Wow, where'd you shoot this at? What happened here? And so we saw it go, and me and Brian both said it took us some points to draw that unit. And what unit was it? Can we say that?
Yeah, you can say whatever.
I think it was 114, wasn't it?
I think it was
141. I don't know.
141. We'll look it up.
We're not good on details.
No, we're not.
Were you even in the right unit?
Yes, I can verify that.
Our Onyx maps, I think we were in the right unit.
Okay.
But we saw a goat, and Brian was like, you have first, choice on goat. And so I'm like, cool. We saw this antelope, and I'm like, wow, that looks good. And he sent you a picture, and you're like, yeah, you should really look into that thing more. And we went on down the road. He ran off or something. But we had an absolute joyous time, no doubt about it. But when it comes down to shooting a trophy animal for us, it always comes down to the moment that if you get excited or not, right? So that goat probably scored better than the goats we shot. Yeah. And I found a goat the next day, shot him because it got my heart beating. I was super pumped. Yeah. Brian we were going the day after that, so we were there for 3 days. The day after that, we were going back to look for the goat. You told us to go look at. And this other antelope stepped up, and I might have had a little persuasion on that.
Casey's a good salesperson. He's like, dude, this is a good goat. You need to get out and check this out over here right now.
Yeah.
And then,
So when it comes down to inches and score and stuff, we're not very good at that stuff.
Yeah,
Because
neither am
we're
I.
all about just getting excited like you. And
Yeah.
we're like, well, yeah, shoot that thing. So we shot some amazing antelope, in our opinions, that tasted amazing.
Yeah.
they're such an underrated animal.
They are.
Yeah.
They're such an underrated animal. Not only to hunt, but to consume. So delicious.
They are the best eating thing. I'll give away anything in my freezer other than my wife knows. If someone comes over, you do not give them that stuff in that box because that is antelope.
That's why you bury it in your freezer. That should be the first thing you put in your freezer and stack everything on. I've learned that.
It's in the lower left corner underneath a bunch of skinned beaver carcasses and muskrat hides and other stuff I keep in my freezer for emergencies. And no, antelope, I can't imagine. I don't know how many of them I've shot between me and my son. It's probably pushing 40 or more. And I've never had a bad one yet. Never.
Can we segue into what I call wives' tales?
Yeah. Yeah, I love hearing these old wives' tales. And,
Yeah, I started saying this when me and Eric actually went to Florida last spring. We went out with my sister's father-in-law, Jay, who grew up in this little town of Florida, has a fishing boat, goes out there and fishes all the time. He took us out, and we were super new to the game, never really been deep sea fishing or anything. And so we got out there, we were catching all these fish. The ocean is a crazy place, really cool, way to look at the pecking order of an area, which the ocean is. And we were catching all these fish that looked like little tuna to us, right?
Uh-huh.
And they're called, if you guys have fished deep sea fishing in Florida, they're called Jack Crevalles. And they looked like this little yellow thin tuna. And we kept asking Jay, can we eat these? And he's like, no, he'd laugh, but we caught them all day long. And every fish we catch, because we went out there with the idea, we're bringing a cooler full of fish back, fresh fish, comparing it to an Alaska trip or something.
Right.
And he's like, no, that's the joke. That's the joke we play on the tourists, eat this thing, And so finally we caught so many, we're like, hey, we're going to keep one of these. And Jay's like, yeah, do whatever you want. And so we kept one. Was it one or two?
A couple. We caught a couple.
And we'd only
They're
caught
good
some
sized fish,
Yeah.
We were catching some big ones.
Big, meaty, tough fish.
10, 15 pounders?
Yeah. So we kept a couple, and we went back, and Jay, my sister's father-in-law, cooked it up for us that night, and we ate it, and he ate it, and he was like, holy cow. He's like, I can't believe I have been throwing these things back for 40 years. And so the question we asked him was, how many times have you ate these, Jay? And he's like, never. That that was just the rumor. You don't eat those. That's what my dad taught me, And so the same thing with antelope. I never hunted antelope until about 6 years ago. And I never hunted antelope until 6 years ago because everyone would say, oh, you can't eat antelope. They're gross. They're disgusting, blah, blah, blah. They taste like sagebrush, like what they eat. And I'm like, well, deer eat sagebrush, and they taste pretty good,
Right.
Anyway, so I went out on my first antelope hunt with my father-in-law, and I was lucky enough to be told by some old guy that was from Wyoming, the secret is get the skin off, get them cooled down as quick as possible. Don't throw them in the back of the truck, drive around. And I did it, and I took it home, and I ate it, and I was like, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah.
This is some of my favorite meat. And all three of us agree now that's probably the best meat that's running, in the western United States.
Yeah. The only downside with antelope is they're not the size of elk.
Yeah, they're too small.
Amen, right?
And that's why I say when I shoot an antelope, I bury that in my freezer with elk and deer and everything else, because when we get to it, it's like, yay, we're to the antelope, right? We've saved it. And my wife says the same thing. She's a little hesitant on deer. She'll eat the elk. She'll eat anything. She just is always like, is this deer? I'm always like, no, it's elk or antelope. But the antelope is her favorite thing.
Yeah.
So we were in Texas last week. Same thing happened, right? We were out hunting, shot some javelinas the first day, took them back. The local guys are like, I'm like, we're going to cook one of these up. And they're like, no, that's like garbage. Kick that in the mud, whatever. And I'm like, no, I shot this. We're going to grill this thing up. So I think we shot, what, 1 or 2 of them?
Yeah.
And then they cut the back straps off the first one we shot and put it in a little bit of marinade. And then the very last day, and no one was shooting javelina this whole week because everyone was telling us they were crap,
Yeah.
So the very last day, we cooked up javelina, we cooked up wild hog, and we cooked up whitetail back straps. The javelina was amazing.
Really?
And all these like guys that had grown up in Zapata, Texas, where we were hunting, super good dudes. The Ricky, the guy that owns the ranch, was telling us, no, we don't eat them. We cooked it up, we fed it to them, and they're like, what is that? We're like, javelina. And they're like,
No way.
I could do this. I could get into this.
Yeah, Ricky's like, I can get used to this. I can
Yeah.
eat this every day.
Every one of them was like, yeah, we used to eat this in college when we were poor and we didn't have any money. And they haven't touched it since.
But we ate it. It was such an amazing like piece of meat, and we were all talking. We were like, why didn't we shoot every damn javelina we saw this week and take it back with us?
That's so funny you say that, because when I was in Arizona last week, I had a javelina tag, archery javelina, and I saw some. And all of the locals, when I said, they asked, well, what are you hunting on this and that? And they're like, well, the problem with the javelina is once you shoot one, then you got a dead javelina. I mean, they had every story of woe and problem and like, let the buzzards eat them or blah, blah, blah. I wanted to eat one, but I didn't kill one, unfortunately, with a bow. But that's cool to hear that even the local people. And so when you're saying that, I'm thinking, all right, Randy, you don't eat whitefish. You don't eat eel pout. And those are just like, my dad, he cut the line if there was an eel pout. He's like, I'm not touching it. Because in Minnesota, they call them lawyers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what they're called.
Yeah, cut ties with those guys.
Yeah, and so it's got me now thinking, all right, Randy, how many of these things that you've got this family kind of hand-me-down old wives' tale that you don't eat that?
Yeah.
I wonder how many of those I got running around that I've
That's
passed
what
up
that was our conclusion, is don't gain an opinion about something
until you try it.
until you try it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
right?
Huh.
And
So
I'll-
you guys took your dads down on that,
Yeah,
huh?
Yeah.
for sure.
That's cool. That is so cool.
We've wanted to do it for a long time, and we kind of came up with this, unique hashtag of who's your influence, and
Right.
who inspired you to get into hunting.
Yeah.
And for all of us, it was most certainly our fathers, and
Yeah.
so we wanted to do something to be able to get back to them. And our dads are getting older, and so going on a backcountry elk hunt probably isn't realistic, but going to Texas was definitely realistic, and it was something different and unique for us we've never done before. Eric had killed one whitetail in Missouri, but the rest of us had never killed any kind of whitetail. Never hunted for javelina or whatnot. So it was just an opportunity to go do something totally different and unique.
Yeah. How old
And-
is your dad, Brian?
My dad is 61.
Casey?
60.
Eric?
69.
69. Yeah. My dad died when he was 62. That was 13 years ago. And when I saw you guys doing that, I was following it. And I'm like, you know what? I'd give my proverbial, what's
Yeah.
to have one more whitetail deer hunt with my dad.
Yeah.
Because that's what he'd live for. My dad, it was a serious drinking problem. But when deer season came, he could focus on, this is my time with my kids, this is my time with whatever. And even if the rest of the world fell apart the other time of the year, hunting was like, this was it.
Yeah.
And, I moved to Montana, he's in Minnesota, and you get in this busyness of life. I'm trying to build a CPA firm and a pension practice and all this stuff, and my dad's health is getting worse, mostly self-inflicted. And so you kind of rationalize why you're too busy to go back to Minnesota and hunt grouse with him or deer hunt with him. And now it's one of my greater regrets in life. Nothing I can do about it. But when I saw you guys do that, I'm like, man, that is such a cool message. And I wish I could go do it, but
Yeah.
I can't.
I love your little catchphrase on your website that says, hunt when you can because you'll, paraphrasing here, hunt when you can because you'll run out of health before you run out of money.
Yeah.
Nailed it on the head, man.
Yeah.
Nailed it on
No
the head.
doubt about
That's an interesting story how it came about that, Casey.
I want to hear it.
A CPA friend of mine, marvelously successful. I mean, beyond what you ever expect in the CPA world, business wise. And he gets cancer in his late 50s. And he calls me and he's like, Randy, you got to take over some of these clients for me. And some of these are professional athletes and other stuff. I'm like, Jerry, I don't know what to tell you. And so I'm like, you're going to be fine. Don't worry about it, blah, blah, blah. And so this is really an aggressive form of cancer. And he always hid everything from everybody. And the last time he called me, I think we both knew it was going to be the last time we talked. And he's more reflective than he usually was. He loved baseball. He lived for it. He loved to play it even into his, in his 50s. And somehow we got in the topic about, I think he cracked a joke about, he said, well, the so-and-so told me that the number of people who come to your funeral isn't what kind of guy you are, it's just what the weather was that day. And he was trying to lighten it up a little bit. And so I said, well, Jerry, you've been there, done it, seen it. I'm 40. He kind of was like my older brother in some respects. And I said, you got any advice for me? And he said, yeah, I do. And he didn't say it in a real sorrowful way or like, this is the last time I'm going to talk to you or anything. He's like, as much as you love to hunt, my advice to you is hunt when you can because you're going to run out of health before you run out of money.
Wow.
And
powerful.
We probably spoke for another 3 or 4 minutes. We were wrapping up the phone call when he did that. And he died about 5 days later.
No way.
Yeah. And to me, it was just like, here's a guy who had everything. At least in how America measures it. He had a wonderful family, wonderful wife, just everything. But he would have given every dollar he had for better health. And so I just and I don't care if you hunt, if you fish, if you golf, if you just like playing with your kids, do it because you're going to run out of health to do it before you run out of money to do it.
That's awesome.
I had an old boss that I kind of abruptly changed careers, not on my choice. I think that's called getting fired. In some people's books, but after 9 years of that, he was a mentor of mine, and he just said, you know what would you do if money wasn't important? Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, I'd love to do something with the hunting and outdoor world. Like, he's like, Brian, you need to find a way to go do that and pursue it. Go do what you love. Go do what you're passionate about.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the money. And I mean, it's so relative to the advice that you were given of the relationship of health and money and your time.
Right.
I know for us, like, our time is so valuable to us. And it's just like, my dad's dad died when my dad was 17 and my grandpa, who I never met, was 40, and I'm going to be 40 next year. So it's crazy to think about that. Crazy to think about. Yeah.
40.
It's a weird thing, but
it is.
It's
how old are you, Casey?
35.
Eric?
33.
33. God, I'm 52. I'm like Methuselah sitting
But
there.
honestly, dude, once you hit 30, it's just one continuous year, in my opinion. Honestly.
So here's how it works, guys. When you're in your 30s and all those old 50-some-year-old gray-haired guys are moaning about their aches and pains, and they always say, well, wait till you get to be 50, right? And what's your look is like? Give me a break, right? You kind of roll your eyes. I was that guy, the guys in their 50s would bitch that their knees hurt or their back hurt or something. I was like, oh, you bunch of snivellers. Well, it's not lineal, the decline in or the amount of effort it takes to maintain some level of health.
Yeah.
It's logarithmic, exponential type thing. It's oh man, it's like every time now we go on a hunt, I feel like, how am I going to keep doing this? I told my wife asked me, how long are you going to keep backpack elk hunting? I said, till I'm 65. So I'm packing this elk out of this canyon in Colorado this year.
That photo. Whew.
Oh, that was bad. And I'm thinking, there's no way I'm not going to be able to do this till I'm 55, let alone 65. But
Randy, you're a young 52 though. Your mind is so, I mean, not only physically doing what you do, but the fact that you would take the jump and try YouTube at 52 years of age.
Is 52 that old?
In the world of YouTube,
according to the millennials.
Right. Oh, my
You're
son.
Santa Claus, man.
Oh, man. Oh, that hurt. Oh, God. Well, I do believe, to your point, Brian, that you're as old as you think you are.
yeah.
Yeah, without a doubt.
And well, go ahead, Casey.
I was going to say, like, going back to your point about, like, 50-year-olds telling you that. I remember when 30-year-old guys were telling Matt, and I thought 30-year-old was, like, ancient, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to get there. I'm 35 now. I feel like I'm in high school still, like, dating my wife. Like,
Yeah. But when you get to be 52 like I am, one thing that bothers you, and maybe this is just a quirk, but I will see people in their 20s who have let their health go completely to hell. And it's like, that health you got there, that body is such a gift. And look what you're doing with it. You're, 4 donuts, 2 pizzas, and it's the big super gulp 4-gallon soda pop later.
And a milkshake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Eric's looking at somebody here.
Eric's looking at himself, man.
Oh, okay.
I eat milkshakes.
Oh, do you?
But,
That's
I
all
mean,
right. But so,
if I could eat milkshakes and look like you, I would.
well, yeah, I'd eat whatever if I could be a piece of wire like Eric is. But so to me, once you get to that age, here's how I approach hunting, and I guess I approach life now, is I'm driving down the road. I don't know how far that road goes. Every hunt, every big event, every vacation with my wife, every weekend in the duck blind with my son is like a mile marker.
Yeah.
And this vehicle I'm going in only has one gear. It only has forward. It doesn't have reverse. And I can look in the rearview mirror to see what things were like, but all I have in front of me is what's out the front window.
Yeah.
And I'm living it, man. I'm as quick as I pass that mile marker, I don't get it back. So I use that in my mindset when I'm on these tough hunts of, you know what, Randy, it might be a tough hunt, but someday you're going to get past this mile marker. And if you're looking in the rearview mirror and you kind of wimped out, or you pussyfooted it, or you made an excuse about the weather or your sore foot, you're going to be mad, and you don't get to back up and do it. And so mentally, that's what gets me through some of the days when this job is like a job.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe it's...
I think anyone can relate to that. You know, reflecting back on a hunt and going, I could have done something so different. I could have worked harder. I could have got up earlier that day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's hard sometimes to stay so motivated in the moment and just realize, hey, we're not going to get this chance. This season's going to come to an end. It's going to be gone.
Yeah.
So
It's something my dad's always shared this with his family, but you only get so many opening days.
Right.
Right. And it's like when you start thinking about that, you're like, holy shit, like we don't really have that many.
We're not counting
hunts
up
left.
anymore. We're all counting down.
Yeah.
The numbers have switched.
Yeah, and the sand is draining out of your hourglass.
Yeah.
You don't get to pour more sand in there, and you don't know how much is there.
That's so funny. I had this dream the other day,
Uh-oh.
and this like makes sense now to me. My dad's big into dreams, and like, you know, he reads the dream books and can tell you like what he thinks they mean. But I had this dream the other night. It was right before we went to Texas, and most dreams of mine I think about when I wake up and they're gone.
Yeah.
But I was coming out of a underground parking structure, and my truck was going down a hill like to an intersection, and I was stomping on the brake, and I slowed myself down, but I couldn't stop it.
Yeah.
And every inch I went, I was just like, oh, I don't have that inch back. I don't have that inch back. And like when I woke myself up, I was literally 2 feet on the brake, like trying to stop myself. Dude, maybe this has no relativity to like what we're talking about. But now, like you say that, dude, maybe that's what it is I'm going forward no matter what. Right. I can never go back and pick up that time. Yeah. So whatever I do moving forward is very important, right?
That's I guess that summarizes how I look at it.
Yeah.
And it is so easy to stay motivated when you understand you're not getting this morning back. You're not getting this afternoon back. It's here. You make the most of it. You enjoy it, even if it's kind of miserable. Because when it's done, like Eric said, you'll look back and you'll find some reason why you should have done something different, why you didn't have as much fun, why you found excuses. And the older I get, the easier it is to stay motivated.
Yeah, that's powerful, man. I would feel like it would be easier for you to make an excuse for why you didn't wake up when it was raining or something. But you're saying it's easier for you to not make excuses and push forward the older you get, because you're starting to understand this topic more and more every day that passes, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I came back. I had a break over Thanksgiving this year, and I had a hard schedule this year. This is one of the longer hunt after hunt after hunt. And my wife's like, man, you're kind of seeming down right now. What's up? I'm like, yeah, I'm just realizing that this isn't going to last forever. And I knew that, but there was just something about this period of time. I don't know if it was something I watched on TV or something I read or
one of your damn cable. Get rid of the cable.
I think I watched this HUSHIN YouTube video, and that's where I got it from. But no, I was like, and we got in this discussion about it, and she's like, well, what are you going to do about it? I'm like, I don't know. So I went hunting. And it seemed to cure what kind of had me in that funk. It was like a 2-day funk of, man, this could come to an end. Randy, and my birthday's in November too, so I just turned 52. And I went through this little bit of almost like panic that, wow, what am I going to do when I can't do this anymore? It's my identity. It's what I live for. It's who I am. It's blah, blah, blah. And I don't know, maybe I'll have more of those panic attacks along the way. But any younger people listening, I guess the benefit of this discussion is don't think that the hunt that you passed up this day or that day when you're 28, that somehow you're going to get that day back when you're 38 or 48 or 50 or whatever, because you don't. You just don't. So watching you guys go and hunt with your dad is what got me thinking about that. And just, we all live with some regrets in life. And that's probably, in my hunting world, that's my one regret, is that I was too busy. And every time I hear what's his name, Harry Chapin, Cats in the Cradle, about that song, it's like, man, that was me. I was too busy.
It was really enjoyable to just go there and watch them light up with excitement and emotion and do things they've never done before. A lot of our, my dad, was his first deer he's ever killed with a rifle, and he's hunted his entire life, like 50-some years.
Really?
Crazy. I didn't even know that story until we were in a deer blind, and he just pulled the trigger, and he was like, that's the first deer I've ever killed with a rifle. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. But it was just, that was the best part of the whole trip, was watching their level of excitement. Yeah. And not only just from like harvesting the animals, but just spending like quality time with us by ourselves, nothing else out there. We just got to spend a lot of really great time with them. And they had an opportunity to see like what we do as well. Yeah. They see these produced videos on the back end, but they don't necessarily, my dad was like, I had no idea how much work goes into making each one of those on a semi-live hunt, how much time is put into it. So it was just a really great experience, It was so much fun.
Yeah. Are those videos already up?
Yeah, they're up.
Okay.
I believe they're the series called 2017 Texas Whitetail Hunt with Pops. Yeah.
Okay.
It's definitely probably the most touching thing I think we've ever put up.
For sure.
And if you guys have watched our show, and if you haven't, and you watch it,
and you should.
we're very emotional guys.
We cry a lot.
We do, man. Like, I don't know what it is.
Trigger your emotion.
It
when
triggers
you watch
your
it.
emotions. Like, and that happened when we were out there. Is the guys that created this passion within us because they took the time to spend time in the outdoors with us are the guys that we went and did this hunt with. And it's cool because we have had some level of success in this hunting industry, and all three of our dads are super stoked on it and super proud of us, which is super, like, way cool, you know. And for them to go out and spend this time with us and do this thing with us, it was cool. Like,
Oh man, well, just watching it on the social media side, I was like, yeah, crap, I wish I was there. Now that I know you figured out how to cook javelina, I really wish I would have been there, but I would have been there as grandpa.
No, next year you and your boy, man. You and your boy, like.
What was fun for me was reading the comments every night. The movies go up and just reading the comments. A lot of comments like yours, like, man, what I would do if I can just have one more day fishing with my dad or hunting with my dad. For the people that didn't grow up with a father figure, how much they were like, I didn't have this. This was so great to watch. I'm going to pass this on to my kids, you know?
Yeah.
That was really cool.
Yeah. How many YouTube subscribers you guys have to your channel?
Just a touch over 154,000 right now.
Holy cow. That's a big YouTube channel.
Yeah, we just surpassed 25 million views as well. So it's
It's growing.
It's been crazy to see the
it's
exponential growth year after year of the channel, and you know, the supporting kind of levers, we call them, of Instagram and Facebook and what have you, kind of our gears towards pushing more content and traffic to YouTube. But it's been really cool.
One of you just said it, work. That your dad didn't realize how much work it is.
Yeah.
Every time I bet you guys bring a guest out in the field, they say the same thing. I had no idea it was that much work.
Like, why are we taking so many pictures? What are you doing over there on your phone? Why are you making a post? I remember there was plenty of times, I don't know if you guys ever felt this while we were out there. There was plenty of times I was sitting on the computer, I'd look over at my dad being like, I wish I wasn't doing this right now. To be honest with you. I wish we could have enjoyed that moment and maybe like edit it the next week. There was plenty of times I sat on the computer looking around like, we could be over there, you know, hanging out with our dads.
Yeah. I mean, it does take away a little bit of the hunt because you don't get to experience some of that downtime. You know, as hunters, downtime super important. But the message I think that series sent was worth.
It was
worth the trade-off. Our fathers understood that for sure. After, you know, every night, it was funny. We'd get back to the lodge, and so every night we'd get back to the lodge, and hopefully the video from the day before went up, and then we started working on the video for the next day. But all three of our dads would be like, "Is the video up? Is the video up?" So it's like, "Yeah, it's up. Go watch it."
As soon as it's up, they're all watching it.
Go watch it for 40 minutes. We're gonna work on the next one, you know. So it's cool. Like, there's a lot of I wouldn't call it like downtime or missed time, but there's, you know, doing something like that requires a lot of your time when you would rather be doing other stuff, like Eric said. But that's kind of our why is the message that we feel like we deliver to our audience is positivity, doing it for the right reasons, consistency, because people love it. Like, people love that feeling like they're there with us because of those messages. Like, man, I'm living this moment with my dad that passed away 4 years ago, you know, and that's really cool to us. That's really why we do what we do. And you can get down to fame and the dollar bills or whatever. And we talked about it earlier. It's the message that we hope is, you know, transparent with our audience.
Yeah. Well, it comes through. At least it does to me. And you know, my wife will be like, "What are you watching?" Because she'll come upstairs, and this sounds so terrible to say this, but my wife, like, every 2 hours brings me up another cup of coffee. It's like, I don't know if she doesn't want me to come downstairs and see what she's doing or what she's watching. It's like, okay, this is my little kingdom here. I'm going to bring him coffee so he doesn't come down here and screw me up or tell me what to do or complain that, blah, blah, blah. But she'll come up and I'll be watching one of you guys' stuff. She's like, what is that? And I'll tell her, and she's like, oh, those, she doesn't call you guys the HUSHIN guys. It's like because you.
Handsome devils.
Well, maybe that's what it is. Thunder Down Under or something like that. I don't know, but so I watch a lot of your stuff, and I like the simplicity of it, and I like the message of it, and
thanks, man.
It's just back to approaching it from the TV world, and this has been the hardest transition for me, and I think it's going to be the hardest transition for everyone who tries to go from TV to digital is. And you said, I don't know how many times, Casey, is don't overcomplicate it. Yeah. And just in the message, in the style, you think you got to do this, you think you got to overproduce everything. And I purposefully go and grab some of your content occasionally when I'm like having this creative mental block because we're storyboarding and we're this and we're working on a film right now. And I'm like, Randy, just, step back, think about this. What's the message? Write it down, and that's it. Don't muddy the water here, dude. Yeah. And you guys are helpful to me in that.
That's awesome.
We have made a conscious decision to show it all, and that transparency, I think, has led to some of our, I guess I don't know if you call it success yet, but it's like brought more people around to really enjoy the content because we do show stuff that a lot of people would probably throw on the cutting room floor. And a lot of times we are even saying like, is this going to be good?
How's this going to come across?
Yeah. What's this going to look like? But because it is transparent, it's just real. People gravitate towards it. So from some of the slow times that we all experience out hunting to really unfortunate situations of missing an animal or wounding an animal. I mean, we're shown it all because it's what happened.
Right.
And we'll take any kind of like feedback or repercussions that may bring with it because it will. But it's reality. I mean, it is absolutely reality of what happens when you're hunting.
Yeah.
But I think that's because of what our platform, where we do or, have chose to share our content. That platform is so transparent with the whole world, right? So anybody can see that. Somebody in Europe's not going to watch the Sportsman's Channel that's a vegetarian, but on YouTube they can find that stuff. Right. And so we always talk about it. We show that stuff not only for, we love the like dedicated Western hunters that are hardcore like we are that watch our stuff, but what we enjoy even more are the people that were fortunate enough to have a dad or a father like us to show them, the enjoyments of the woods. And so maybe they aren't, I would never say anti-hunters, but they're people that don't agree with it because they don't understand it, right? So we have this audience that is full of hardcore hunters, but it's also this small percentage of people that don't hunt. And so when we show everything that happens, and that's why live hunts or like semi-live hunts are so important to us, is because it shows the day-to-day life of a hunter. Most people that don't hunt think hunters, load up the truck with all their buddies, bunch of cases of beer, they go out and shoot everything that moves, and then they drive home. Right. They have no concept of they eat that animal, there's tags, there's regulations and stuff like that. So when we showcase something like that, we know we're not only speaking to the hardcore hunters like us, we're speaking to everyone. Right. And I feel like that's why YouTube is so important. And I said that I tell this to people all the time, there's so much division within the hunting industry. Right. There's the archery, so like look at archery hunting. There's the compound guys, the stick bow guys, rifles. There's the long range guys. There's the 30-06 100 yards maximum. Right. Same with the muzzleloader. I feel like, and I felt like this for a long time, the outside influence isn't going to be whatever shuts us down. It's going to be the division we have amongst us. Yep. And so why wouldn't we just showcase how it is? Because that's how it happens. There's no lies behind it. It's just truth, right? Yeah. So people that hunt or people that don't hunt can relate to that because the hunters are like, oh, dude, I've been through that. I've shot a deer and not found it. Yeah. And then the non-hunters are like, dude, we didn't understand that. Like, we didn't understand that you go out and look for one specific animal for 5 days and hopefully you see him and shoot him. Mm-hmm. And then you take him home and you eat him and you're so very grateful for that. Yeah. So like Ryan was saying is when we showcase stuff like that, it's important to all audiences, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's an audience that TV misses.
Oh yeah, I remember I wounded a bear in Alaska. It was the first animal I ever did not recover, and I feel really lucky. It's not because I'm a great hunter. I think I was 47 or 48. So it'd been like 35 years of hunting before I'd lost an animal, and it was like the most gut wrenching thing. And I just grabbed a POV camera. And I was walking through the brush looking for this bear, and it's getting dark. And I just sat down on a log and just said, this is how I feel right now. And I just quit hunting. I was like, I just put my tag away and said, I'm not going to look for another bear. I didn't know that later on someone said, oh, in Alaska, if you wound one, you're done anyhow. So, but just my personal ethic was, no, it's one and I'm done. And I really beat myself up hard on that. I wrote the story out on our Hunt Talk forum, and everyone's like, whoa, that's going to make a great episode because of the power of that truthful story that no one shows on TV.
Yeah.
And so we edited it out, and there was a lot of discussion among me and the production companies and others of, man, I'm going to get hammered. This is not good. This is, everyone's going to say, oh, you shouldn't show this part because, someone's anti-hunter, the whatever is going to say, see, that's why you shouldn't hunt, blah, blah, blah. And I just kept working on it and tweaking it. And finally I'm like, I'm going to let it rip. And it was one of our best, highest viewed episodes ever. Yeah. And it's a bear hunt. It wasn't like a big monster elk or a whopper buck. And I think it was because the truthfulness and the transparency you mentioned of, this is what happened. And I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm not going to fake it. I'm not going to make excuses. I screwed up. I didn't do my job, and a bear paid the price for it.
Yep.
And I feel terrible, and da-da-da. And so I worried it. My worry about it was wasted. I need not worry. I don't think I got one negative comment from anybody on anything about that one.
You look at one of our most viewed videos, and that's Eric's firebull hunt when he shot a real famous bull in Utah, right?
Yeah.
And, he shot the bull first week of the season, archery hunt. Bull ducked his arrow, hit him in the shoulder, took off, and then... What 12 days later? 12 days later, he arrowed that same bull in the same exact meadow, in the same exact stand, and killed it. And very easily, Eric could have edited that first part out, and it probably made just as good of quality of video.
Right.
But people understood that, that's like something that doesn't happen. You shoot an animal and then expect him to come back 12 days later in the exact same tracks. Even as a hunter myself, I'm like... That doesn't happen. But it was 100% honest truth, man. And that video is just done well because it opens people's eyes, but it's also, honesty, all honesty,
You guys have really big social media pages. What's your following on Instagram and Facebook?
Get HUSHIN on Instagram.
Like 65,000.
On Instagram?
Yeah.
What about Facebook?
Facebook's not like 30.
No,
like
we're
20.
only at just under 20
Just shy
now.
of 20.
We didn't do a very good job with Facebook out of the gate.
You're focused more on Instagram. I mean, you guys post a lot on Instagram.
Yes.
I mean, it's like when I go through my feed, you guys are like
Pop up a lot.
Yeah.
You get tired of us.
But the reason I ask that is I think it was you, Casey. You took your son or daughter on a bear hunt.
Yeah.
And I was reading the Facebook stuff. I'm like, people, get over it. To me, social media has some downsides to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it attracts in some respects like the negative people of the world at times.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm still not completely comfortable with Facebook and Instagram, even though we've grown them heavily in this year. Oh, and a shameless plug at Randy Newberg Hunter. But so
I think Casey and his family with their experience in the YouTube world and big social media pages, we've tried to duplicate that business model in the outdoor space, but Casey has really sound advice when it comes to that kind of negative critique that is going to naturally come with exposure and videos.
How do you handle it?
I don't deal with it. I don't even pay attention to it.
Oh, really? Okay.
I mean, because this is what it tells me is if somebody's coming to a video that we posted on my 12-year-old daughter shooting her first game animal, and it was a bear, which is a furry animal. Mm-hmm. And we know from social media, the furrier it is, the more hate you're going to get on it, right? Yep. So the way I look at it is a plus. I don't want to piss people off, but we believe in what we do is the right thing. And there was no doubt about it. That bear hunt was the right thing, But the way I look at it now, and I used to go read every comment, and it's funny, human nature, you're always going to gravitate yourselves towards the negative comments. So you post a video and it's a really good video, and there might be something shooting a bear, your daughter shooting a bear, which is the right thing to do for that. Yeah. For the bears in that area, we're gonna eat that bear 100% legal. Yeah. But at the same time, you gravitate to those negative comments, and then if you really go back and look at it, dude, there'll be 150 comments of, man, I teared up. I was watching that with my daughter. I was watching that with my son. I remember my first hunt with my dad. But there was 5 comments that are why did you shoot that bear? Mm-hmm. Bears don't need to die. Bears are going extinct, All this crazy stuff. And so when it starts getting a lot of hate, the way I look at it is it's going outside of our reach, and it's going to get a lot of hate. That's fine. We're 100% confident in what we do because it's the right thing to do with conservation and everything. And so it's going outside of our reach, reaching an audience that doesn't know who we are necessarily. And so they're just seeing a furry animal get killed and they're commenting on it. But at the same time, it's picking up a few people oh, wait, he shot that bear and he says he's going to eat it. I want to research this more. So I feel like we're really bringing a new crowd that way. And that's what is so cool about social media is you won't get that on TV or print ad, No one's going to go watch the Sportsman's Channel that's not a hunter.
Right.
And so when it happens, I tell these guys all the time, it's very easy to get caught up on the negative stuff. Dude, we're focused on our trail and what we're doing and what we want to accomplish, and all this negative stuff, it means nothing to us, really. Cool. We want to create good content that everyone likes, but it's the world, dude. Everyone has different opinions. Everyone has different ideas about what's right or what's wrong. And if you're 100% confident in what you're doing and you're passionate about it,
Well, that's interesting perspective, Casey, because how many times do we read about these big blow-ups on Facebook that someone posted, whatever it might be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's almost like we in the hunting world get so offended by that, someone had a different opinion. You know what? Fine, whatever.
Yeah.
Have your different opinion. And I guess some might say, well, if you were the target of it, Randy, you'd think differently. But when you do a wolf hunt, trust me, I've been the target of it.
Right? I was going to ask you about that.
Which,
the furrier the animal, right?
Right. If it looks like a pet, which... a wolf does.
I just adopted one of those things in my house in LA.
Yeah. So that's why people ask me, we used to do live hunts on our Hunt Talk forum, and they were just crazy popular.
Yeah.
But with all the death wishes that came after the wolf hunt that we aired, my wife frets that she's home alone when I'm out of town, and she just doesn't like me posting till. People can pretty much guess, hey, he's out of town in the fall, but she asked me to not be that specific about where I'm at and when I'm out of town, and it's very disappointing that I've had to change my messaging because of that. And so that's what part of why I like watching your semi-live hunt videos, because it reminds me of when I used to do a lot of those live hunts on Hunt Talk. But so
sounds like we need to go do a wolf hunt.
Yeah,
we do, man. I would love to expose the reason why we hunt wolves, anything else, just like you did,
right?
Which I think you encapsulated it perfectly.
Well, we're getting ready to go do some more of it when I get home next week. So.
Am I hearing a collab?
That's an invite.
Is that a collab?
Collab. Is that like a slang in YouTube?
That means we're going to make a video together and help push each other's audiences.
Collaborate.
Okay.
Collab.
But what if we don't see any wolves?
We'll have
That's
a lot
awesome.
of fun.
Really?
We'll build
'Cause-
snowmen or something. You know?
Because here's what I tell people is when I have never went out hunting wolves on my own and encountered a wolf.
Really?
The only time I've ever encountered wolves, and it's been 4 times, and people are like, well, you must not hunt wolves much. No, it takes 15 to 20 days to have an encounter.
Yeah.
And the 4 times we've had encounters, I've always had guest hunters with me.
Really?
And they got the shot.
You're due, Randy.
That goes back to we'll take us out as guest hunters, and then you can shoot first.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'd feel terrible about that.
No, wait.
No, heck no.
That goes back to what we were talking about is we used to be so afraid, and this goes back to a conversation we had with you last year, and I hope I can share this. If not, you can cut it out or whatever.
Okay.
But that goes back to my idea when I started the channel, and I brought these guys on, is we can't show a hunt that we don't kill something on. Right? Dude, as hunters, how often does that happen?
Yeah.
A lot. More than the other.
Right. Yeah.
Right? And I remember you telling me that the network came to you and said, you can't air any more videos, any more shows this season of you not shooting an animal.
Right.
And you were like, well, that's what happened. What do you want me to do? You know?
Yeah.
And so we've crossed that path a long time ago because it relates to hunters.
Yeah.
And it relates to the non-hunters is you don't kill an animal every hunt you go on. Like, you are very fortunate to harvest an animal when you go out to harvest an animal, right?
Yeah. No, I can assure you, if you guys come up to Montana, if we went down to we're at the SHOT Show here at a casino at the Venetian. If you went down to the sports book down there and they said, hey, we're going to put odds on whether or not Newberg will find a wolf in the next 10 days, that would be some easy money to make.
Should I take the under?
Double down. Put it all on.
I'm going to go with the under.
I would go with the under. Yeah, the number of wolves, Newberg, can you go under 1? I guess, yeah, you can go under 1. But, so, no, I'm just, it's wolf, muskrat trapping, beaver trapping from here on out until
Heck
black
yeah.
bear season starts. So,
That's the great thing about YouTube is it requires you to do it full time, right? So you do all those things that you wouldn't normally do on your TV channel, which is trap muskrats, hunt wolves, whatever it might be, fishing. You just want to get content out there. It's about being consistent. And so like Eric, who would have guessed Eric would be a fly fisherman right now, right?
yeah.
Like, did you think you'd be doing fly fishing videos?
Nope.
Do you guys get a lot of traffic on your shed hunting videos?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Definitely a big
Tons of traffic.
demographic for that.
Yeah, my following has kind of always known me as a big shed hunter,
Okay.
but it's people are interested in it. You know, they're like, "What? They shed?" You know what I mean? Some of our audience are like, "Whoa, I didn't even know this." I got a message the other day just from a young kid. Hey, thanks to you, I shed hunt. I'm like, that's cool. I love that. You know, and that's another funny thing about our channel, and a topic that comes up is, hey, you guys are showing the background too much, you know, because of you ruined shed hunting, this and this and that, and we've just let that go. You know, we're here to promote hunting. We're here to get people out hunting and fishing, and if it means we show the background or people know what state we're in, we just don't care.
Yeah.
We feel like that's a very selfish thing of any hunter to say, right? Like, you're promoting this sport too well because there's going to get more people out there doing that.
Yeah.
I feel like you're trying to bring up a text or something.
I am. Well, you were saying that, Eric. I'm trying to pull up this video that we posted when we were in Arizona last week. It's such a remarkable opportunity down there. It's over-the-counter archery tags. There's so much public land. Arizona Game and Fish has this program that has opened up 4.5 million acres through private lands. And so I'm telling people about it, and some guy, I can't find it on my feed right now, but like, you know, Negative Nancy, he's got to be like, well, gee, why don't, you know, it was a good time until you showed up here and told her. I was like,
should we read ours or not?
but like, you know, the people complaining you showed this mountain or that, whatever. I'm like,
background or
it's like, you know, whatever. Yeah, get over it. Or just quit watching my stuff.
We just got one of those when we were in Texas. Just complete person focused on themselves and nothing else. Like, hunting is for him and nobody else. And it's just like, This is the most selfish thing. And I understand, spots and, you grew up hunting this area, but to us, we're trying to promote the sport of getting outside, right? And enjoying our public lands. If it's hunting, fishing, camping, whatever it might be, that's what we're going to promote and we're going to show. And so somebody to say that we're giving up a spot that he might not be able to kill a certain, score of bull in 2 years because of us, that's so dumb.
Yeah.
It's so dumb to us.
It is. And that gets me into a discussion about, and you guys have been a big help in this, is the whole public land politics thing. I'm just scratching my head trying to figure out why some hunters are hesitant to stand up and say, you know what, we want to keep public lands.
Yeah.
And I don't get it. Maybe I'm just so tunnel visioned and I've vested myself so heavily in it that I can't see the other side of it. But to me, it gets to that selfish thing in some ways, that if I go to my grave and my generation has screwed up the public land thing, it's no matter what else I do in my life, I've been a failure.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about the public land thing. And to me, to not engage myself in it just seems so selfish. Like, no, I only want to worry about it here and now. I'm only worried about it if it affects my little corner of the world, and well, I could go hunt this place or that place and I'd be fine and blah, blah, blah. So hell with it. I don't want the headache and the hassle and the risk that comes with offending my buddy at work who says, oh, well, I think we should sell all the public land, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It just seems, I don't know, maybe it's not selfish, maybe it's apathy, maybe it's whatever, but
I think we talk about this a lot, man. Like, I think it's a culmination of a few different things. I think number one is people don't do any research about it. Mm-hmm. And I'm not calling anybody out, and I hate to say this because we had an experience with this, but it's
call them out. We're unfiltered.
It's the old Republicans that don't research this, that believe that the federal government is the worst thing ever, and they should not control any of our lands, right? So I watched this thing during the election, when Ted Cruz was still trying to run. He came to Boise, Idaho, and did this big speech, and he was talking to a bunch of solid old-time ranchers and farmers and hunters and stuff, and you might have saw this clip on Facebook floating around, but he's like, you look at the state that I come from, you know how much public land or how much land the federal government controls? 2%. That's it, 2%. And so these guys are like, yeah, we need to follow that mold, right? But when you look at it, it's like, yeah, because there's only 2% of public land in Texas, right? So I really think, and Brian has a really good insight to this, but I think that it just comes down to education, really.
Yeah.
It really does.
I think, so many of us grew up in very conservative households and family.
We all did.
And if you start kind of peeling back the layers of the onion, you start to realize, like, all those conservative folks that we thought were like on our side for maybe gun rights or whatever, traditional hunting stuff, unfortunately, they're kind of the people that are not helping us on public lands. And so I feel like hunters get stuck in this middle zone of like, what do I do?
Right.
Do I try to follow like the Second Amendment folks, or do I try to follow the public land folks? Like, where should I go?
Yeah.
And I think that's what's happened recently is, a lot of hunters maybe don't take the time, like Casey said, to do a little research and find out what's the root kind of cause behind this, who's initiating some of this stuff, why is it happening, what would be the consequences if it happened.
Yeah.
And so they go with what they've always known.
Mm-hmm. The safe place.
And what's your take that public lands isn't a Republican thing or a Democratic thing? It's
it's an American thing.
That's right.
I'm not RD. I'm the party of hunting, fishing, and public land.
Yeah.
I'm an equal opportunity abuser.
Absolutely.
Or supporter.
That's right.
And one thing that's been encouraging in all this, and I hate to say it from like the old man to the young generation kind of thing, but that's what it's going to sound like, is I see how many of the hunters your ages are getting engaged in this. And that makes me smile. That is like, I'm like skipping down the hallway when I don't know how many people just at this show have stopped me and said, man, thanks for the podcast. Thanks for just not holding back on the public land thing. And most of them are younger people. I haven't had any 50-year-old gray-haired farts stop and say, hey, yeah, keep it up. When I walk by, they're probably saying, oh, that son of a bitch. You know?
What's your opinion on it? Like, why do you think it's such a disconnect within this community?
I think, and this is, you know, whenever you answer a question, it seems like you're generalizing. But I think that hunters, as a general rule, are not confident enough to step up and say, I don't have to be this or that.
Yeah.
They've found, and I think always when you're in the minority, you look for the safe place, politically, socially, whatever. And since hunters are in the minority, we've looked for the safe place, and the safe place has been to hide behind maybe the Second Amendment or hide behind something else. But you look at any movement, any group of people who've always went and looked for the safe place, pretty soon the safe place is out on the end of the plank, and they just march you off the end of the plank into the ocean, never to be seen again. F that.
Yeah.
I'm not even stepping on the plank.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going down swinging. And I don't care who I piss off in the process. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I look at my son, and whether he never steps foot in some of the just amazing places I've traveled, by foot most times, I don't really care if he does or doesn't. What I care about is that him or his friends or his kids or grandkids, that they get to go do it.
Yeah.
Because to me, and this is, you know, they say beware of old men in a hurry. And I don't think I'm in a hurry, but you guys have made me feel plenty old today. So I'll fit that part of the category. But when
you're a spry 52, Randy, I can tell you that.
But when I see this, you know, I can't even put into words really how important these public lands are to what I see as the legacy of America. And some will say, Newberg, you've lost it. And like Brian said, I come from a pretty conservative approach on things. You know, I'm going to stand and fight for the Second Amendment. I'm going to stand and do whatever I can for freedoms and for everything else. But I can't get my mind around the idea that somehow this great American idea of public lands where everybody can go and hunt, somehow that's bad. And that because I'm from this group of right of center people, I'm supposed to run over and stand in their camp.
But what's even crazier about that, to take it to the next level, it's not even about necessarily, it stops with hunters, right?
Right.
It's anybody that enjoys going out and spending time on public lands. Mm-hmm. It's people that are against hunting. It's the hikers, the climbers, the mountain bikers, the campers, but it's the fly fishermen, the hunters. It's this huge group of people that are going to be, you know, not allowed to do what they enjoy because we, as the people of this country, didn't step up when it was time.
Right.
And that's what blows me away is it brings, I was telling a guy this today, we were talking about recipes and cooking and stuff. I'm like, I think cooking is such an important thing that like we do on social media, because it's not only like showcasing that we, you know, eat meat and show a certain recipe to hunters, but that's like really what connects us to maybe this crowd that disagrees with us. Dude, they love eating raw organic meat, but they don't like hunting because they don't understand it.
Right.
But then when they see us do that, it's like, oh, wow, you're just getting protein for yourself and your families and making these really cool recipes. And so I look at it like the same with like public land. That should all bring us all together.
Right.
And it's not even the people. There's like companies that are against hunting. They're trying to do the same thing, you know, like they promote whatever, climbing or whatever. It's like, let's all come together on this and fight this.
Yeah.
Because it's wrong.
It is such a critical thing. But I'll tell you, as wound up as I get, I've never been more encouraged by seeing the shifting of the sands as I have the last couple months. I think those over in that part of the ideological world are going to overplay their hands, and we're going to kick them in the balls so hard. We're going to they're going to run and hide for 50 years. Yeah, is what I think is going to happen, and I can't even wait to start putting pot knots on people's political heads. I got to be careful and say political heads because they'll think I'm actually threatening some elected official or something. But, and this is a frustration. And some of the outdoor media people are like, Newberg, you're pretty self-righteous about this. And if it comes across as self-righteous, well, I guess it does, but piss on it. There are so many people in my industry who are chicken shit, who will not say a damn thing because they're worried they're going to get a phone call or an email from a disgruntled sponsor who pays them $400 a year.
Yeah. They want to stay down the middle.
What's crazy to me about it is if you took a poll on all the people that are at SHOT Show and grew up and did some form of hunting or fishing or camping, how many of those people would have had their initial experiences out of the gate on some form of public land?
In the West, the studies show that 70% of those people west of the Mississippi would answer that question as public land.
Yep.
That's 70% of the hunting where we live and where we do all of our activity would be gone, impacted,
and
impaired.
that probably goes down the further east you get, right?
Right. It does.
But that's a huge, huge number.
Right.
70%.
Yeah. So imagine if somebody said, I'm going to do something. I've got a great political idea that gets rid of the hunting for 70% of the people in this county or this state or this area. I hope we'd come unwound.
Yeah, right?
And the other part of this that gets missed and causes me to wonder why the NRA is sitting on their ass not saying anything is you cannot recreational shoot on these state lands.
Yeah.
You need, so let's just take Colorado. There's 23 million acres of BLM and Forest Service land there. Can you imagine if somebody said, we're going to eliminate recreational shooting on 23 million acres? The NRA would be standing on somebody's chest, putting big lumps on their head.
Yeah.
But yet, where are they in this discussion? And don't get me wrong, folks, I'm a benefactor donor to the NRA.
Yeah.
And I call them, I email them. It's like, where are you guys? And they assure me, oh, well, when the time comes, we'll be there. Well, I hope they are. But even if they don't worry about the hunting side of it, and it's just the shooting side, and I just use Colorado as one little example. That's 23 million acres. Well, you can't recreational shoot in a lot of these other states if these became state trust lands. It's, anyhow, we all know, among us, we know it. But this industry needs to get their head out of their collective ass and stand up and start saying something about it.
Now, the NRA saying that they'll do something when it's time. The time is now.
Like, isn't that true?
We have never had, we've never been had the full court press like we are having right now, in my opinion.
I agree.
Why wait until then? Like the time is now.
Yeah.
And, Randy, you've really opened our eyes, and I think you're probably one of the best spokesmen in any industry promoting this, and you've done a fantastic job. But we as hunters or fishermen or non-hunters that enjoy public land, shooters, whatever, we all need to come together and agree on this one thing, right? And I say this about all different aspects of life, but we all need to come together on this one thing and say, we're going to stand up against this because it benefits all of us, or it's going to negatively affect all of us, right? And we can't wait until that moment because the moment is right now.
It's here. It's on our lap. Anyone who thinks we can sit on our ass any longer, well, then you're not on the team.
Yeah.
And I don't care. I have, and this is probably obvious from my comments here and elsewhere, I'm really not worried about blowback from it. I look at it and I say, what can be the liability of being an advocate for public lands? What negative consequence can come that I want to have places for people to hunt and fish and camp and hike and shoot for perpetuity?
Yeah.
Unlike all the other countries in the world where they've screwed it up, I want our American way of life to stay there. Tell me why I'm wrong there, Mr. Whoever wants to criticize me.
I don't get it.
I think we're both fortunate to work with some really great companies that support us.
Mm-hmm.
First Light has been a huge advocate of conservation of public lands, as well as Sitka has been, right? And I think that's where like it's bigger than the potential competition of two camo companies battling it out. Like it's bigger than that.
Yep.
It's bigger than any of these other companies in the industry that are below us in the expo center that are fighting over market share.
Right.
And that's where there needs to be a little bit of pressure put on the companies that have not chosen to participate or take a definitive stand. They're just straddling the line of mediocrity on this whole thing. Make a stand. Like, but that's the beauty of like working with companies like First Light and you with Sitka is they're willing to like come across the aisle and shake hands and let's go to town on this together for the greater good of what we all love so much.
Yeah, and to Casey's point of, today REI came out with a very affirmative statement about their support for public lands. Just a month ago, they were like, well, we're still weighing this and considering it. Today, they came out with this strong statement. And, I'm sure some hunters are going to say, oh, that's a bunch of granola grinding Subaru drivers. I don't care.
I don't care either.
The Outdoor Retailer Show is Outdoor Retailer is a huge event in Salt Lake City. They do a summer and winter session. And the founder and owner of Black Diamond did a big article in the Salt Lake Tribune just last week. And then Patagonia came back and backed him, pretty much putting political pressure on Utah politicians, which, as you know, Rob Bishop is a giant thorn in the side of public land advocacy, as well as other many Utah politicians. And they basically are kind of putting the pressure on that if they don't start changing some of these behaviors they have, that they're going to pull Outdoor Retailer out of Salt Lake and go to a more, definitive market that supports the outdoors. Right. And that's a huge economic generator for Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
Twice a year, tons and tons of companies from all walks of life, hunting and non-hunting, come together to go to the show. And so I think it's great that these companies are taking a stand. And who cares if they're totally in line with the Second Amendment or they're not? Like, it's a good thing. This is a good thing.
Yeah, let's figure out something we all agree on and tackle that, and we'll talk about that later.
Exactly. That's my point. We'll sort out those other details afterwards. If we can all push the wagon the same way, guess what? On this public land issue, we will kick their ass so hard they're going to have to drop their drawers to floss their teeth. And I can't even wait until that happens. And, I'm sure some people are like, man, Newberg, he's about, he's like foaming at the mouth.
And Randy's in a good, happy place this year, right?
Yeah, he's not an angry guy, right? He wasn't last year, but
and I think in our industry, so let's just look at it from purely a strategy standpoint. The people pushing this are on the far right. You can't deny that. I mean, if you deny that, then facts don't. We can't have a discussion because facts don't exist in someone who would deny that. Who can reach and influence those people on the right more? Us, who as a collective group. I mean, we are the hunters, represent the whole spectrum. But if you looked at our bell curve, we'd be right of center. There's no group that can put more pressure on these wingnuts than we can.
Yeah.
So why is our industry, why are our media people, why are our magazines, TV shows, podcasts, websites, why are they not just hammering these guys over that? I don't know.
Fear.
But I don't really care. You know what? If you guys want to sit on the sidelines and, criticize the guys who say, I'm done sitting around camp. As you say, the time is long. It's not now. It was years ago. I'm going forward. And if you guys want to criticize me and call me self-righteous or whatever, I don't give a shit. You've mistaken me for somebody who cares. if these public lands leave public ownership, we're never going to get them back.
No.
No way, shape, or form. And Eric's not going shed hunting. You're not taking your daughter on her next big game hunt. You're not going hunting with your dad in, Colorado or wherever. I'm not going to go. Me and my son aren't going to Wyoming pronghorn hunting.
Yep.
That's not the America I want.
No.
My life without those public lands is really impaired. So to those of you listening, if I sound wound up, I'm wound up about it. I'm
But
like,
for a damn good reason.
bring it on, you know?
I mean,
Yeah.
if you've ever experienced a place that you've hunted before, maybe you grew up hunting,
Right.
that it got taken away for some odd reason of land ownership
Which
change.
is happening.
Happens
All
a
the
lot.
time.
Happened as I was a kid. It is devastating to think about, like, all those memories you made with your dad or your uncle or family or whoever, that you can never go back to that place.
You don't get it back.
That's so disappointing.
They're not going to come and tear the Las Vegas Strip down
No.
and bring back jackrabbits and
Nope.
desert mule deer.
The Venetian will not have jackrabbits.
Yeah. I mean, once that goes that direction, and
Yeah.
if Montana is any indication and Colorado and some of the other states, if this goes to state lands and the states are really good at selling this stuff, the buyers aren't going to be Randy and Eric and Casey and Brian. The buyers are going to be really, really wealthy people who put big no trespassing signs up there and give you kind of the middle finger if you even
Yep.
want to drive by and look at it.
Yep.
The future of hunting is at stake as much as the future of public lands are.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm seeing it through the wrong lens, but I don't think I am.
I don't think you are at all.
So if I got to keep being a big blowhard loudmouth, I'm more than happy to do it. But
Do what you're passionate about, right?
yeah, I'm kind of passionate about public lands. But,
I love it.
No, you know who's really been, and I've made some criticisms here, just kind of a blanket criticism, but Brian with the Gritty Bowman.
Yeah.
I think you guys were on his podcast. I listened to it. He's got a great podcast, and he continues to bring this up time and time again. And if this is a shameless plug for a competing podcast, if you aren't listening to the Gritty Bowman, you should. Brian and those guys do a great job.
Yeah, I feel like I put a few people in this room in this industry just because there's so much else that goes on. But Brian and Aaron Snyder do
Yeah.
bang up job.
Yeah. I love listening to it. They got a great sense of humor about tackling some kind of prickly issues.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. And so anyhow, if you aren't listening to that other podcast that, another person who I see speaking out on this is Steve Ranella and the Meat Eater crew. They're the ones who they ran my podcast for the first 6 months. I just ran into them down in the hall here and I said, man, I owe you guys big time. Just like I was thanking you guys for getting me going down this YouTube path. If it wasn't for 0.0, I wouldn't have a podcast. In fact,
That's the reason we came and met you, Randy, is we did the podcast with Steve and 0.0 up in Bozeman.
oh, that's right.
And then we're able to double dip and hang out with you as well.
That is right. Yeah. Then I think it was that later that day Steve
You
had
were
me
on
on his
Steve's, yeah.
podcast. But anyhow,
At Doty's place.
yeah. And so he's been pretty outspoken on it. And there have been some others. But by and large, our community, our magazines even, the TV shows, they've been just kind of standing around with their thumb in their ear.
Yeah.
Well, the whole thing's going on. And I get that people don't enjoy politics. I don't like it. I go to D.C. a couple times a year. I absolutely despise the place. But if that's what it's going to take, bring it on. Let's get it out of the way. Let's get this behind us so we can focus on hunting. Taking our dads out hunting.
Yeah.
Doing
like
fun
it.
things. Taking our kids out hunting.
Yep.
And Eric can go and find a 340-inch bull deadhead somewhere. So where do you find? There's a tangent, Eric. So my camera guys love shed antler hunting, but a little background: growing up next to a reservation in Minnesota, a lot of my native friends, when they found shed antlers, they hung them in trees, and it was. I can't really say that I know this, but they just do it, and I never really questioned them, but occasionally they'd be like, don't take that, that's a gift. So I'm thinking it was like they were giving something back to their deity, their God, their spirit, whatever. And so I just kind of picked up that habit from my friends. So there's a place in New Mexico that if you went and hiked this certain mountain.
Don't tell them.
There
We'll
are
lose them all
so
spring
many.
long.
There are so many elk antlers hanging in
over,
trees, and so this year we're down there. Me and Corey Jacobson. We got 2 camera guys with us, and we find this really nice shed. That's a nice 5 point. And Corey points it out, and we're really stalking quietly because we've heard some elk off in the distance. And I grab it and I hang it up in a tree limb, and everyone's looking at me like, what, Newberg, what are you doing? Corey bugles, and in comes a 6-point bull like he wants to run us over. And I'm like, see, that's what happens when you put antlers up in the tree.
You better go put your stash back, bro.
No way, I got a good stash and a good year of hunting. I must be doing something right.
And so now, Marcus, my one camera guy, I think he almost carries like a little bitty antler with him, so that he can hang that one up in the tree.
And grab the bigger one.
Exactly.
Yeah, trade.
So when we came out of that hunt, Ben, he had a big, really big 6-point that they'd look at me and I'd nod like, yeah, that's okay. And so he packed that thing out of there. And then Marcus, my camera guy, he had a big 5-point with 3 shark's tooth on it. It was an 8-point.
Wow.
It was cool looking antler, but there's so many antlers hanging in that.
Yeah, you got to take
ridge.
me.
That's what I said, man. We just lost him.
Follow Randy and pick up the tree sheds.
Yeah. And so now anytime we see an antler that's maybe even hanging on a little low bush, they're like, oh, you've hunted here before. But how did you get into antler hunting or shed hunting, whatever you want to call it?
I grew up in California.
Okay.
Until I was about 12 years old. And my dad would, as I got a little bit older, he'd bring me to Utah. He grew up in Fillmore, Utah.
Uh-huh.
He would bring me to go hunt, the general season deer hunt. And I remember the first time I saw a mule deer rack of antlers in my grandma's house. It was in his old bedroom, and it was his very first buck. And it was just like, I was drawn to them. I was so fascinated. I was like, Dad, can I take this rack? Can I have this? And yeah, you can have it. That's my first buck ever shot. Go ahead, keep it. So I was instantly fascinated with antlers.
Yeah.
But I didn't know much about them. We went hunting, I think, the next year, and in Idaho, and we were hunting elk with, rifle hunting elk. Mm-hmm. And I was with my dad's friend, and he goes, I think there's a moose antler over there on the hill. And I did what you did back then and used my rifle scope to, zoom in on it and see what it was. And I was like, it is. But I didn't know they shed, really. You know what I mean? I didn't fully understand it back then. So I was like, you're telling me that they shed these things? And right away, I was just like, that's what I want to do. I want to go find sheds. Huh. So even at a young age, I just thought they were so cool, and I can go out and hike around and look for them. And starting out when I was young, I didn't know where I was going. I didn't understand the winter range, the migration. My dad would just drop me off somewhere and be like, hike around here, and I would. And I started finding antlers, and I've just loved it ever since. I still do.
Well, I think a better segue to that, you left this out. You've told me this, and I think this is like really, really cool, is the first time you watched your dad shoot a deer, right? Mm-hmm. Or your dad
cow
and your
elk.
grandpa, cow elk, and they gutted it, and you were like not having it, right?
Yeah, the first time I witnessed a kill and the gutting process, the field dressing, I was just like, this is not for me.
Right.
So early teens, I decided I won't hunt, but I sure did enjoy the hunt.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to be the one to pull the trigger, do all the gutting.
Wow.
So I didn't hunt until I was about 20 years old, but all those years leading up to it, I shed hunted big time. My thing was to just go hike, look for antlers, film deer and elk, on the winter range, film them on the summer range. But I actually enjoyed filming people hunt.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to hunt.
Yeah.
Eric has the most photographic memory that I've ever experienced with anybody I've ever met when it comes to antlers. It doesn't matter what type of antler, on what animal, at what time, whether it's on the head or on the ground. He can legitimately recall every minute detail of almost every antler we've ever come across since I've known him. We will put Eric up against anybody that thinks they're like, and we definitely don't claim ourselves as trophy hunters or whatever, but there's a lot of people in the industry that do that, and they can score an animal real quick and kind of know what it is. And we've put Eric to the test on a couple guys that are pretty rad at doing it. Mm-hmm. I will put Eric up against anybody at looking at a set of horns, if it's on the hoof or it's on the ground or him holding it, and being able to recall that years of that animal later.
right? So he looks at a set of sheds from a deer in Colorado that was picked up 3 years ago, and then we see that deer out hunting this year, he will be able to recall if that's that deer. And it's crazy to talk about, like Brian was saying. But we have proven it time and time before that he starts showing, oh, dude, that's that buck. What buck? The sheds we saw 3 years ago. Like, what are you talking about? He'll show us the picture, like bring it up, like it clicks in his head, and we'll be like, holy crap, man.
The
like,
elk this year, that even surprised me when that guy showed us that picture of the elk, and I was like, oh yeah, we filmed him 2 years ago, remember? They're like, huh? I'm like, yeah, the one with the crooked pedicle, and he has this frame, and he has extra there.
We started looking in the film, the pictures were like, yep, that's him.
Really?
It's nuts.
So when you're looking for him, big mule deer or big elk?
When I first started with deer, I was going to the winter range in Wyoming a lot before they made their shed season, and I was really big on deer. But once I got a taste of the elk, the size of them, I really got into elk a lot more. It seemed to be where I was hunting mule deer sheds, it was easier hiking. People can kind of get there easier, drive a truck or a four-wheeler. But when I had to find the elk sheds, it was harder. It was steeper mountains, higher elevation, less people. So I kind of enjoyed just getting away from the crowds more. And elk is definitely, I would much rather look for elk sheds than deer.
So do you sell them or are you a hoarder?
I am both.
Hoarder. Mostly hoarder. Mostly hoarder.
So this year I built a Christmas tree out of all my shed antlers, and it was just about as high as the
out
ceiling.
In your yard or in your house?
No, in my house.
Oh, I was going to say, man, I'd be brave to put it out in your yard.
Yeah, that's like $10,000 Christmas tree sitting in the yard. But I've found so many that I've sold the non-keeper stuff, and there's stuff over the years I wish I would have not sold.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have a stack, and I can go through them, and just like these guys said, oh yeah, I remember the way this was laying, where I found it, and how it was laying, how I spotted it.
It's pretty cool.
Their antlers are so cool, man. I could just sit and stare at them and just look through them. They're all so different.
It makes very little sense to me, really. Like, I'm not a shed guy.
Yeah.
It's cool when you find them, but when I typically go out looking for sheds, I don't find them. But when you look at like what shed hunting does, it's a tool for hunting.
Yeah.
Because if you go out, even on like a draw unit in Utah, right, like Eric used to do, and watch them in the summer, watch them grow, go and watch them in the during the rut, watch them in the late season, and then they go and start watching them so they can tell where they drop, and then he goes and picks them up when they drop, and that cycle continues, and he's able to follow these animals for years, like. Yeah. How many sets do you have of different animals for like 3, 4, 5 years? It's just a great scouting tool, I think.
I think I was 16 years old. I found a really nice 180 set of mule deer sheds. They were fresh from that year. They had a couple cheaters on them. And I was telling everyone, I will find this buck the next year. He stays in this little canyon. And sure enough, I found the right side of him. I mean, and they're like a fingerprint. They're just identical, just a little different in size. Yeah. And back then, I mean, I'm 33 now, so 15, 16 years ago, whatever it is, people were like, no way. How do you even know that's the same deer? No way. Like, people didn't really understand it as much as they do now, that deer are so patternable. They winter in the same areas. Sometimes they'll shed within 100, 200 yards of where they shed the year before. But I remember that the first time I found a multiple years of the same buck, people just back then just said, no way, It might be the genetics in that area, but it's not, no way. You can never find the same deer twice, you know?
So much for that theory.
So much for that. Now people, it's like, oh, here's, all those winter range bucks that were super famous, like Popeye and Goliath, and they come back year after year.
So how are we going to handle this if we do a collab and I'm hanging antlers in trees?
I got my backpack.
No.
We're going to have to restrict his hands behind his back.
Right.
There's very few that I've left behind.
There's very few I've taken out or allowed to be taken out.
We'll have to, collab, meet in the middle, collaborate. So we'll just take the good ones. and leave the bad ones.
There's like probably like more like karma if you hang them higher. So Eric will actually take the small ones and climb up the tree higher than you're willing to.
Well, there you go.
Climb up
Maybe that's
and
how
hang
we
them
do.
there, and we'll get
Even
the same
higher
karma.
the shed gods.
Yeah.
So I can tell some people, because now it's been many years, but if you hunt Unit 2C in New Mexico west of the Jicarilla Reservation, I don't know what was going on in these ridges, but it was like you couldn't throw a rock any direction without finding a shed elk antler.
You're killing
He's
me.
literally gonna drive
Booking
down
a
there
trip
like
right now.
next week.
Booking a flight tomorrow.
I mean, none of them were big, but I'm walking and I'm just hanging them in trees. And we went across the canyon and we're glassing. And it looked like as the sun was setting, and you know how they really shine at certain times of the day, it looked like someone decorated a bunch of Christmas trees over
It's
across
really
there.
funny you say that now, Randy, because now I think back. Every shed picture Eric has is the as they lay, they call it,
Yeah.
are in trees.
You're following my GPS tracks.
I should.
Yeah.
Share me your Onyx map drop pin. Where are you at?
He's gonna be in shipwreck by tomorrow.
Oh,
On his way to 2C.
Yeah, shipwreck.
Well, guys, I've kept you a long time. You got any final words of wisdom, final comments? I mean, I don't want to put anyone on the spot, but we're...
All I can say is, Randy, I'm very impressed of how you took YouTube and ran with it. Like I was telling you earlier, like you're our example to people when they ask us, because we're always open books about YouTube and what people think the secrets are, in quotations, and we tell them the same things we told you. And you're one of the few that have taken that advice and ran with it, and you're absolutely, I would say, crushing it and doing a great job. So super proud of you, man. It's cool.
I appreciate it.
It's cool to see.
Casey. And I will tell you that if you had not warned me in advance how much work it was going to be, I think I could have got frustrated and said, oh, I'm not making the progress. Because I think until I met with you guys and we had a bunch of follow-up phone calls and I started following your channel, I was thinking, well, I'm going to go from 0 views to 3 million views like in a month.
Yeah.
It didn't work that way. I was going to go from, 0 subscribers to I'll have 20,000 subscribers at the end of the quarter. It's like every other thing, you just got to show up and work at it and say, I mean, now when you guys were at my house, I had 1 whiteboard. Now I got 3. And one of them is a whiteboard just about content for YouTube, for the podcast, and for social. And so I really appreciate you guys kind of preparing me for what it was going to take. But it's like anything in life, if it was easy, you just went and set up a YouTube channel.
Everybody be doing it.
Exactly.
If it was easy, everybody be doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but no, I appreciate it. So
Yeah, it was fun. I remember, as soon as we had our meeting, we had the follow-up calls and we talked about all the tools on the back end. And it was fun to kind of shadow your channel and just kind of hit that refresh button every now and then, see if there's new videos. Is he using the annotations? And you did, man. Like, you ran with everything we told you and you learned quickly, and it was fun just to watch the channel grow and see that you built the content for YouTube. You know how we talked about that. Like, you can't just dump like an old episode on there, like build it for YouTube. And you did that.
And I think that was really helpful also when you guys explained to me that YouTube content has a different flavor than TV. Don't approach us like it's TV.
Yeah.
And that's really hard. That's hard for someone who's been trained for 8-10 years doing it this way. Oh, forget everything you knew there and, and come do it this way. But it certainly has proved to be the right way to do it. So,
well, I just want to say thanks for having us. I remember watching cable TV, seeing your TV show. It really, truly was the only one that I would watch.
Really?
The first episode I watched, it was a freezing cold, late season mule deer archery bow hunt
in North Dakota.
And you ended up shooting it, not a giant buck, a little buck. And that stuck with me because that's what I did, I did those type of hunts, and watching your TV show inspired me to do what I do. So
cool. Well,
it's kind of crazy that I'm on a podcast now. Newberg,
I mean, I don't know. We talk about it a lot, but it's always pretty interesting to see how certain people get brought into your lives at different times of your life and how that can impact your future. And what an ironic way for us to meet through a random, contest. And
that is weird.
How crazy is it for us to meet through these internet forums
webs
and stuff, and how now we're all sitting here, talking about YouTube.
Yeah,
it's pretty wild, but that's what's so cool about the internet and what it truly has to offer, aside from all the negative stuff that may come up. I mean, there's a lot of pretty neat stuff that comes out of it as well.
Yeah. Well, if you aren't paying attention to what's going on, you're going to get left behind in this world. So, your YouTube channel, HUSHIN.
Yep.
Your Instagram account,
Get HUSHIN.
Your Facebook page,
HUSHIN.
You got any other social media that I need to know about?
Twitter.
Eric has
Twitter.
Twitter, and Eric has Tinder.
You have what? What's this?
Tinder.
No. They like to throw that joke in there that I have Tinder, a dating app.
Oh, no, I didn't. That's over my head.
Yeah, if you go to Google and just search HUSHIN, I think most of our platforms will show up.
They'll find it.
Hunting and fishing.
Yeah.
Hunting and fishing. That's where the hush comes from.
But
Cool.
Thanks again, Randy, for having us on, man. It's been
Yeah,
fun.
thank you guys. And for all you listening, if you want to follow us on YouTube, Instagram, or Facebook, it's easy. They're all the same name, Randy Newberg Hunter. Not Randy Newberg CPA, as I was known for 20-some years. I'm a hunter. That's who I am. That's what I'm about. So I changed my business card, lined out the CPA, and now it's Randy Newberg, Hunter. And if you want to find me on social media, that's all you got to do. So thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. I hope I am not a nuisance as I continue down this path. And for those of you listening, thanks so much. You are making our podcast, the way you're sharing it, downloading it, you are making this podcast one of the most popular podcasts in outdoors. And I'm still at a loss for why you guys want to listen to me. But thanks a ton for doing so. Until the next time, stay well. Stay well. Stay well. Stay well. Stay well. Stay well.